Hello, everyone, and welcome back inside the MMA War Room. I'm your co-host, Chris Shroyer, joined alongside my other co-hosts and friends, Srikar, Rajendran, and Sam Corcoran. Guys, what a card for International Fight Week. Honestly, we were talking about it, probably the best pay-per-view maybe since UFC 300. Absolutely stellar finishes on this card, stellar wins by so many fighters from around the country. I'm going to go to you first, Srikar. You were the man in the building, boots on the ground in Las Vegas. What did you see live and in person?
Well, my voice is actually still gone from yesterday. So I'm a little quieter now, but what a night, man. I put a photo on my story that said the greatest show on earth. And I kind of said it as hyperbole, but I'm not gonna lie. There's some memories in my life like where I'm just in the moment and I don't take pictures, I don't take videos because I know I'm gonna remember it for the rest of my life. Like that's how I just approach things. This was one of those moments, man. Like this was the best sporting event I've ever been to in my life. Like this, it was an incredible experience. I was fortunate to go with my dad. He enjoyed it a lot as well. But man, what a night we just witnessed. UFC 317. I think this is the card of the year, top to bottom, just bangers everywhere. And at the top, bro, like Ilia freaking Topuria. The man says it and then he does it. He said he was going to knock out Oliveira and then he just flatlined him. I was the only one in that arena rooting for Ilia Topuria, which I felt for Charles. I love Charles. How can you not love Charles Oliveira?
Yep.
But man, Ilia's my guy. We'll get to that soon, but I can't wait to just rewind and just run through the full card because there's a lot to talk about.
He was looking like Mac out there, man. First round KO prediction. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, Sam, you nailed that one. I was going to say, you mentioned how good this card was top to bottom. We had 3 knockouts, 3 brutal knockouts, mind you. So that's always fun to watch. The fight of the year, in my opinion, I don't think there's much question about it at this point.
No question.
And the winner of that fight, Joshua Van, is setting up what could be the fight of the year against Alex Pantoja next. Is that the matchup? We're here to break it down, matchmaking and recap of all the fights on the main card. And we'll get into the prelims as well. It's a pay-per-view event. We go big for this. So, Chris, take it away. What do we got first?
1000%. There was theatrics everywhere in every part of this card. So we're going to start from the first fight of the night with the early prelims. The one of the fights, actually 2 fights got canceled, but one of the prelim fights got canceled. Jackson McVeigh versus Christopher Ewart. We talked about that a little on the podcast before. If you would like to see our predictions for UFC 13, make sure to go check that out and see how we did. We did pretty well. Sam actually came out on top. 9-2
yet again
on the entire card.
By one fight, man.
By one. That happened the last time
going forward. Can we make a vow going forward that all of our predictions will not come down to one fight? Like we should actually try and divvy this up a little bit more.
I'm trying to be analytical here as well, man.
Moicano was literally the reason me and Chris lost.
Yep. Hey, but you know what? Great minds think alike, and in the War Room, apparently we got.
We applaud Sam on the win.
Called Money Moicano because he made me some money with that Dariush winning that fight. So
hey, you know what?
Like it works out whether win or lose. Somebody's making money off of him. And last night, it was
overall, exactly.
The 3 of us nailed it. We nailed it. Always do. We come out. We do our film study. We know what we're talking about. So you guys got to listen to us. We know what we're talking about.
1000% Money Moicano. He said it in his presser and in his interviews. I'm gonna make you money regardless. So made Sam some quick hypothetical money right there. But first fight of the night. Well, we talked about Jackson McVeigh. Ewart got canceled. Ewart came in 10 pounds overweight. Not a good look for him. But the first actual fight of the night was in the heavyweight division. Jhonata Diniz getting a unanimous decision victory over newcomer and debutant Alvin Hines, who, you know what, put up a great fight for, what people were expecting out of him. I thought, definitely he was much more durable than I was expecting. He was pushing the pace, even though he was getting tagged a lot. I think that he really could have a spot in this heavyweight division. 7-0, 7-1. He took on a good opponent in Diniz, who's now moving to 9-1. But I think that Alvin Hines did put on an impressive performance for, coming in on short notice and, just taking on a tough striker. He walked through the fire, tried to secure some takedowns. He did secure some takedowns, was winning grappling exchanges, but I think Diniz's power was just a little too much. Sam, I'll go to you first. What did you think? Just quick thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, you said I think the big takeaway here is how impressed I was with Alvin Hines, not necessarily the win from Diniz, which isn't a knock on Diniz, by the way. It's just Hines impressed us way more than we thought. Diniz was a deserved winner, let's be real, 29-28. But the fact that Hines got around, and we all predicted, I believe we all predicted that this was going to be a knockout from Diniz.
Yes.
And it went the distance, which I was impressed by. And I think it's good for both fighters. It's a win-win. Diniz gets to move up. He gets the win, which he needed at 9-1, putting himself in a pretty weak heavyweight division. That's always good. If you're winning at that division, you're going to get opportunities quicker. And then same thing for Alvin Hines. He might need to fight down a little bit more. Obviously, he needs some more time. But taking that short notice fight and coming out and pretty much impressing. Look what happened to a guy last year like Dan Ige, who was kind of the gatekeeper of the featherweight division, excuse me. And he still kind of is, but he's getting bigger fights now. Co-main for the UFC 318, not really a co-main, but he's the second guy behind Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier. So it says a lot. If these guys are taking short notice fights and impressing, says a lot. It's a win-win for both guys.
Yeah, believe it or not, this was actually a pretty solid heavyweight scrap. Like, you know how heavyweight, like unranked heavyweight fights can be super hit or miss, but I mean, this one had energy, man. Like, Diniz gets the W, but again, yeah, we'll credit Alvin Hines. Guy came in on short notice, looked like your uncle on a backyard grill shift, still went the distance, man. Showed heart, decent cardio. Dude, even threw some like high kicks, like out of nowhere. Like, not bad for a regional call up. Diniz, obviously, we spoke about in the predictions. He has the technical chops just from his kickboxing background of glory. But, man, he's got holes. He's got big holes.
Yeah, those showed.
Solid win for him, though. And honestly, with Alvin Hines, man, just keep him around. Like, you put him in fights with guys like maybe a Tafa, maybe Chris Barnett maybe would be a good scrap. Like, he could be a really good unranked heavyweight, maybe potentially make his way to the top 15. I'm actually very intrigued by Alvin Kuzi Hines, and he definitely won over the crowd in T-Mobile. And yeah, it was a good showing, but Diniz got the W.
Definitely. And Srikar, you talk about some of those holes in Diniz's game. One of those holes was being cardio. He looked extremely gassed at the end of some of those rounds, and he wasn't even being put on the back foot. He was putting Hines on the back foot, and he was the one who was gassed. And it wasn't even like he was really going after a finish. He was kind of just tagging him, straight up kickboxing. So for Diniz, I think something that he really could work on, and if he could implement it, is his cardio. I think he would be a monster if he can get that squared away. But still, impressive performance from honestly both of them. And I thought it was a good fight to kick off the night. Would you say so, Srikar?
I'd agree. And it's funny you mentioned the cardio problems, because we move on to our next fight.
Exactly.
Jacobe Smith versus Nico Price.
Big problem.
I've been hyping up Jacobe Smith, man. Like, I had him as a potential top 5 guy in welterweight, and I'll eat crow here. I might need to pump the brakes just a little bit. He got the submission in round 2. Definitely a dominant performance, but the gas tank, man, it's a red flag. I don't think it's the first time we've seen him go past a round, because I think he went past the first round at Contender Series. But in an actual UFC fight, this is the first time we've seen him go past round 1. And he looked like he was just dragging by the second, man. But still, when he's fresh, I mean, the guy is terrifying. He has insane wrestling, literally hands of stone. If he ever fixes the cardio, I'll say this: watch out for this guy still. As for Nico Price, man, I hate saying this about any fighter. It might be time, bro. Like, he's been finished a lot lately. And, man, you got 7 kids. You got a beautiful family. Legend or not, this sport moves fast. You can't keep stacking L's. Go out and save yourself. But, I mean, hey, if the fight game keeps calling to you and you feel like that's your calling, go for it. But you've got everything you need around you. So that's what I say about Nico Price. But Jacobe Smith, I want to see a little bit more. So I'll pump the brakes on the hype just a little bit. But good showing nonetheless.
Agreed. You said it perfectly, Srikar. He's 11-0. He's still got time. I know he's approaching 30. I believe he's 28 or 29 right now. So still kind of entering his prime about. But he has time. He's going to have time to fix the holes. I'm not too worried about him. It wasn't as impressive as we thought. I think we all thought he was going to smoke Nico Price, and he did.
He almost did.
I would say he dominated that fight, but I expected better, which, I mean, and that's high expectations, but I think he could be a little bit better. There's a reason why he still needs to work it. He still needs to work his way up. If he stays active, though, he fixes the holes, we could be back on track with that top 5, though, Srikar.
Definitely. And Jacobe Smith closed at minus 2,500 as a betting favorite, the biggest betting favorite in UFC history, right in front of Isaac Dolgarian at minus 2,400, Bo Nickel at minus 2,200. Crazy. And something that Joe Rogan was talking about on the broadcast is, coming into a fight like that as such a big favorite, there's a huge expectation that you're just going to go out and absolutely starch Nico Price. And when Jacobe Smith went out there, he almost did. He got right on him instantly through extremely powerful punches. But when Nico didn't go down right away and the fight went to the ground, Nico was cut. He's very good from his back. He almost locked up an armbar multiple times. There's just a huge adrenaline dump of, oh my God, I'm going to go out here. I'm going to starch him in the first minute. And then when you don't do that in your head, in your game plan, it's like, what do you do? I think Jacobe did handle it well. He didn't freak out and make any crazy irrational mistakes. But I think that gas tank against a better fighter, someone younger and, who has a little more pop in their step than Nico Price, will make him pay for that. But nonetheless, he still got it done by a submission finish. No one was expecting that. I think everyone was expecting a knockout, but got the fight done against a grizzled veteran, and we have to commend Jacobe Smith for that. So we'll see what his future looks like. It will be interesting. But someone who did exactly what Jacobe Smith wanted to do was Terrance T-Rex McKinney. This man is an insane finisher, whether it's sadly getting finished or finishing other fighters. This man has honestly, he might be one of the most entertaining UFC fighters to ever live. It's just every fight that he is in, no matter what happens, he just goes out there. He's kill or be killed. He gets the fight done. And if you check the Twitter or the last podcast, I called Terrance McKinney by submission. I believe
you and Sam did, man.
I did. We both did.
Me and Sam, we both thought it was going to be by submission.
Yes, sir.
No, it could have been a knockout. He took him down, and he could have landed ground and pound. So Srikar, you were right in that aspect. But Slava Claus, what were we doing? He got taken down instantly. He let his neck up instantly on the ground. Anaconda sinks in, and you know what? Credit to Borshev though for staying in an anaconda that long. I think he was in it for almost.
Well, it turned from a darce, and then he mounted him, and it turned into a ghillie, and
guillotine, and it was a guillotine finish. It wasn't. It's kind of exactly what we said was going to happen, Chris, by submission. Although it was just a lot more dominant than I thought it was. That fight was supposed to be close going in, and Slava Claus just didn't seem like he had it. I think Terrance McKinney, he's 17-7 now. He's on a 2-fight win streak, won 4 of his last 5. This is exactly where somebody, especially in such a stacked lightweight division, needs to be if they want to come up and into contention. He's 30 years old. T-Rex he still has a lot to prove, and he'll fight up. There's some guys on this card he could potentially fight. That one tonight. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But you look at where he's at. He's in a good trajectory right now, and I think his outlook's looking real good, especially with such a dominant win over a guy who people were saying this fight was going to be close, and it really wasn't.
Nope.
Yeah, man. Death, taxes, and T-Rex fights not going past the first round. I mean, this guy, he just wastes no time. He just shot, took Slava down, got the sub in under a minute. This is just what he does. As you said, Chris, this guy's no middle gear. It's kill or be killed. His submission game is leveled up, man. Yes, I will say he still has chin issues, and that never really got tested in this fight. So I think the durability still could be a concern moving forward for McKinney. But this guy is just pure chaos at 155. He is must-see TV every time. I'm so glad he got included on this card. And side note, man, I still can't believe he's never gotten a bonus. Like, can you?
That's ridiculous. Yeah.
All these first round finishes, he's never gotten a bonus. The UFC, man, like, what are you doing? What are we doing here? Give this guy a bonus. I'm sure Dana White probably paid him a little bit more than a show and win money. But Terrance McKinney, man, great win. Just absolute domination from the get-go. And it's good to see how good he's gotten on the ground.
1000%. And no win bonus is crazy. I actually didn't even realize that.
Yeah. Never got a bonus.
That is insane. Yeah, I actually remember Terrance McKinney's first fight against Matt Frivola when he went out there and finished him in 7 seconds. Almost, it was one of the fastest finishes in UFC history, and he's clearly taken that with him for the rest of his career because he just goes out there all gas, no brakes. And you know, Sam, you spoke about him. You know, his trajectory is trending upwards. He's fighting towards a spot for contention. And someone else fighting for contention for UFC gold is Tracy Cortez. After a very dominant unanimous decision victory, almost looked like she could have finished Viviane Araujo in the first round, but she didn't. She lasted all 15 minutes. It was good to see her get back in the win column after a tough, hard-fought loss against Rose Namajunas going 5 rounds. But I think that Tracy showed that she's still one of the premier athletes in the flyweight.
Yeah, women's flyweight. No, it's flyweight. You're right about that.
She's in the flyweight division. Araujo, you know, she had a great last fight against Karine Silva, but it's like I said in the other podcast, she's given all the opportunities to, you know, advance her stock in this division, and she just can't seem to capitalize on that. But nonetheless, Cortez went out there, did what she was supposed to do. She did get into some trouble early in the first round. She got taken down and was in, you know, she was in a position that you really don't want to be against Araujo, someone of her caliber on the ground, but got up, handled it smoothly, and got in the win column again. Sam, what did you think of this performance from Cortez?
Yeah, I mean, pretty dominant fight. Definitely a little boring and did get into trouble. But at the end of the day, it was a 30-27 victory is what I had it. And Cortez, like you said, 12-2. She's 31. So getting a little up there in age, but 12-2 is a pretty good record to have, especially in this competitive women's flyweight division where there's a lot of names right there. And as for Araujo, I mean, you talk about the inconsistencies. Win, loss, win, loss. It feels like every time you're just getting something else differently. But now you have another consistent contender in this women's flyweight division in Tracy Cortez. I'd say she's probably 2 away with how stacked this division is, maybe even 3. And the one issue I have, though, for her is I don't really know who's next for her. It's a little tough. The best fight would be Macy Barber, but we don't know what.
Just thinking that.
Well, yeah, but we don't know where her situation is. Is she going to move up to bantamweight? That's a tough thing. I mean, with everything that happened against Erin Blanchfield last time, kind of tough. Could be Blanchfield too. I don't know if she's ready for someone that high. And Jazz Davicius is right there, but I know she already beat Jazz Davicius, which is looking like a much better and better win, by the way, the more you put it there. So it'll be interesting to see what the UFC does with her. But it might be a minute because right now the stock for her is really high right now. Mm-hmm. It's just the fighters that she can fight, the stock is very low right now. So she's in a bit of a tough predicament, but nonetheless, she's proven that she is a name at this flyweight division and can make a name for herself if she continues to push forward. Might need to take on someone that she doesn't necessarily want to take, but sometimes in the UFC, if you want a title shot, that's what you have to do in this scenario.
Definitely.
Yeah. Tracy Cortez got it done. It was kind of what I expected. Solid control, very clean boxing, strong wrestling. But, man, she just can't find the finish. Like, she's kind of – I hate making this comparison. I'm sorry. She's kind of the female Bilal. Like, she's good everywhere. She's dominant, but she doesn't always leave a lasting impression. You know what I mean? Like, that said, man, like she's improving, and I genuinely think she can crack the top 5 if she starts putting her foot on the gas. You know.
Yes. So she is, just for what it's worth, she is not fought in a fight that has. She has not fought in a fight that hasn't gone the distance since 2018. Split decision, unanimous decision, unanimous, split, unanimous. Yes, and her loss to Rose was also by decision. So this is a decision artist. That's the other thing with the UFC. It's hard to sell with that. But maybe, if she keeps it up, she's going to have to take on these top contenders of the flyweight division who will eat you up if you can only be a decision artist, which makes me a little nervous. But I still have confidence in her. I don't necessarily know how far she'll get, but it's a name that's going to be at the top of this flyweight division for a long time, I think.
And Araujo, on the other hand, had some weird complaints. I don't know if you guys noticed, but she was just complaining during the fight about. Yep. I think the broadcast said it was about Cortez being oiled up. Okay, I mean, you lost, and the story that's the way I see it. There's no reason to bring up being oiled up in the third round when you both are sweaty, and that's probably what it was. I thought that kind of weird, but a little side note there.
Yeah, I mean, hey, Cortez got it done dominantly, 30-27. But someone who didn't let it even come close to seeing the judges' scorecards, Jose Miguel Delgado.
The one that got away for us.
Yep.
Oh, man.
You know what, Hyder? You just got caught off guard. I think it's something that you can just go back, learn from, not something to, really beat yourself up over. It's like we said, Jose Miguel Delgado, he's a polished striker, man. You cannot give him anything. He can do it at length. He can do it inside. He caught Hyder, kind of on like a gather step backwards and right in the clinch, pulled him down, knee to the head, and Hyder was out cold. He bounced right back up, kind of almost not. He didn't really know what was happening. He was almost, I think he was in disbelief of what just happened because that's how quick it was. But nonetheless, yeah, I will be the first to say I was completely wrong about that. I thought Hyder was going to put it on him, and hey, he really did. He came out through a few quick strikes, looked like it was going to be trending towards a high-paced fight, and it was very high-paced for the how long did it last? I believe it was
26 seconds, bro.
Yeah, 26 seconds, I think.
Yeah,
26 seconds. It was a great 26-second fight, but I'm impressed with Delgado, man. That was a great performance against a very good fighter, in my opinion, and I would say our opinion. I don't really know where to go with Delgado. I would, I want him to fight up. Have him fight.
I mean, I feel like
he's fighting up. He's fighting up.
If you fight like that in a dominant fashion, like a dominant knockout, you're gonna fight up. I feel like that should be the precedent that the UFC is setting. I will give Emil credit. He wasn't dominated until that knockout. But Delgado, he got in the way of Jose Miguel Delgado, and Delgado took advantage of it.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, that's what you have to do in the UFC. If that's what makes a good fighter, that's what separates a good fighter, someone between a good fighter and a great fighter. If you can take advantage of the space that you're given and the mistake, like one tiny mistake that someone makes, out cold. That's what you have to do in the UFC, and Delgado did it. I think we were all wrong about Hyder Emil. We all picked him, and we all thought he was going to do pretty well, but just one mistake, man, and it slips up and it messes up everything for our predictions. So,
Srikar, what was the atmosphere like in the arena when that knockout happened? Actually, because it was not back-to-back. I was going to say T-Rex and then Emil, but how did the T-Rex finish compare to the Delgado finish?
Man, I'm so sad for my boy Hyder, man.
Didn't you say
T-Rex finish was awesome? I think that was like the first very hype moment of the night. Because the Smith finish was good, but we all expected it,
Right.
With T-Rex, it was kind of more of and to do it in the first round too, it was pretty crazy. But man, I was so lit. Hyder Emil came out to E40, and I had my drink in my hand.
Oh man,
I was like, okay, yeah, Hyder's gonna kill this guy. And man, this was a violent fight. It was a fast fight, but hey, man, Delgado just smoked Hyder. He just smoked him. Nasty knee, brutal ground and pound after. Just a statement finish, man. And yes, he will be fighting up because let's be real, Hyder Emil's been on a streak. This was not like a can,
right?
Hyder Emil is proven, he's been in the UFC. So for Delgado to just wipe him out like that, that's That's really scary, man. That's really scary. This was his second UFC fight. I don't think Delgado is quite ready for the top 15 yet, but he's got something. I would definitely keep your eye on him.
He's one or two away, depending on who he fights next.
Like he is a legit prospect at featherweight. The guy looked good, and he definitely amped up the entire crowd. It was definitely loud. I was just kind of sitting in shambles, but the entire arena was they were rocking with it.
And something else I'm sure that amped up the entire crowd was the knockout of the year, Gregory RoboCop Rodrigues.
Knockout of the year is a bit of a stretch, but it was damn good.
One of.
Ooh, I don't know, bro. He was.
Who was the guy? Who was the Korean guy that knocked him? The guy out at 316.
Who
sung you? Yeah, that was. I don't see anyone topping that. I'm gonna be completely honest.
I don't know, bro. That was a one punch, just death. That was a death punch.
It was pretty good. Don't get me wrong.
Sadly for Gregory Rodrigues, he did take some flack after the fight from fans saying that follow-up shot was not necessary. But wherever Jorge Masvidal is right now, he would be saying hashtag super necessary. Yes, that was unreal. I mean, I knew that RoboCop had all the power in the world in his hands. He's an amazing grappler. He's a multi-time world champion in BJJ. I just don't know where you could take the fight with him. It's like anywhere it goes, it seems like he has the advantage. He is just built like a brick bleep house. He is insane. I've loved RoboCop since I've started watching UFC, since he's entered the UFC. His fight with Chidi and Njokuani, when he got an elbow to the face and had a 3-inch gash in the bridge of his nose, came back and knocked out Chidi. He's unreal. I really don't know what to say about him. Srikar, or I want to hear from Sam first. Let's go to Sam first. Sam, what did you think about the almost knockout of the year?
The almost knockout of I mean, it's pretty damn good. Don't get me wrong. I just think, Yu's knockout was even better at UFC 316. I don't see much topping that. That was when I was like, oh my God. And this one I was like, oh my God too, but not as big. But RoboCop, man, I mean, that's the guy you just don't mess with in the arena, or the octagon, I should say. Always dominant. The Cannonier loss is, we all thought it was, Cannonier, man, not looking great. And then RoboCop comes out and does this. Maybe that win signals more about Cannonier than it did about Gregory Rodrigues. I think next up for him is absolutely a ranked shot. I'm looking at 2 fights right now. There's 2 fights coming up July 19th. Paulo Costa and Roma Kopilov, the loser of that, or Anthony Hernandez, Marvin Vettori and Brandon Allen, the loser of that. One of those guys I think would make sense for RoboCop to get in the rankings. Kind of a fight for a ranked position, because the person that loses that fight coming out. I wouldn't love to see Paulo Costa, considering how much of a losing streak he's on right now. I think that's a guy that would need to fight way down. So if Costa won and he has to fight Roman Kopilov, I would like that. And then Brandon Allen, Vettori, one of those guys I'll happily take for RoboCop. Guy that he's always going to be tailoring around the rankings, in and out of the rankings. I don't want to call him a gatekeeper because he's pretty damn good. But I mean, it's a guy who's right around that area,
Yeah, I mean, this was a magical moment, because RoboCop is a guy that I really love. He always brings full violence, and this was full violence, man. This was a textbook example of just composure, power, perseverance. Like, RoboCop stayed locked into his approach. Like, Hermansson can kind of throw you off with his rhythm. He didn't panic. He stayed calm. He literally just walked straight through the fire. He got the finish. Once he found that opening. Like, it was the kind of knockout that, like, the entire arena, we were all just looking at it like, is Hermansson good? Like, did we just witness like a death, like, in the
I was gonna say, like, what's next for him? And by the way, Chris, you said it in the preview podcast. His record is alternated. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win,
now
loss, win, loss.
Successfully alternated the past.
So that means he's gonna win his next fight. But But
back
I mean,
to
I don't know. Is
Yeah.
there going to be a next fight? Like,
that's the other thing I was going to
Srikar,
say.
back to your point of everyone in the arena looking at each other saying, oh my gosh, is Jack Hermansson okay? They were actually monitoring him backstage for a very long time. They were giving updates throughout the event. The broadcast team was giving updates. They were monitoring him, and at one point, they were not sure what was happening, but they did give the okay that he was actually allowed to go home. I don't think he did wind up going to the hospital. But yeah, that was definitely a scary moment. Took him a while to wake up, but it was a brutal knockout. I think part of that was on the way down. He was so out cold. He just bounced his head off the canvas. It's never something you want to see. And then taking a follow-up shot that
hold on just for a second, man. Let's talk about that stoppage, because I see people blaming RoboCop. We should be blaming Herb Dean.
Yes, Herb Dean was
That
extremely
was such a late stoppage from Herb Dean. Hermansson obviously took unnecessary damage, and like Herb Dean lately, like the stoppages have not been very good. Like there's a pattern following here.
I think Herb Dean almost thought that it was going to be a Khalil Roundtree moment, like almost a show of restraint from RoboCop. But it's like
a fight. Like you got to do your job and keep going.
You got to do your job at the end of the day.
I hate to keep referencing the Jorge Masvidal like quotes and interviews, but he said his job is to keep hitting the person until the ref pulls him off. And you know what? That's what RoboCop did. It was only one punch. Thankfully, it was a big punch. But yeah, I heard the broadcast team also said that Herb Dean was a step too late on that. And as a UFC ref, you can't be a step too late in some of those situations. So, you know, we all hope Jack Hermansson is doing okay, recovering well. Not sure what is going to be next for him. Maybe, I don't know if
might be a retirement, man.
Yep. I don't know if he
could
step in the octagon again, given his age, but if he does, it'll be interesting to see what the UFC does with him. And then
make no mistake, this was the best performance in RoboCop's career. Like,
I completely agree with that. Yes.
And I'm so proud of RoboCop.
I would say other than the Chitty fight, just because of when he faced a lot of adversity against Njokuani, but this was definitely the best finish of his career. But Srikar, who do you see RoboCop going up against?
Well, yeah, as I mentioned, I think that was the best win of his career, and that's saying a lot. I think he's getting that ranked shot. He's due for a ranked opponent, and the guy I'm looking at right now is actually Abus Magomedov.
Oh, you stole it from me!
I don't hate that.
He's ranked 15, right? Yep. But like, is Abus Magomedov, should he really deserve like the 15th? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I would put that fight together. Put it on the Abu Dhabi card, man. Like, I think that makes sense. Let them settle it there.
Yes.
Good test for both of them, and I think it's, you know, you're not going to send RoboCop into the top 10 again. You want him fighting into the rankings more organically, and I think this is the way you could do it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I was just about to say Abus. The timelines work perfectly. Abus is not booked. Putting him in Abu Dhabi would work. He's Russian, but fights out of Germany as well. Or I believe he claims German.
He fights out of Germany. Yeah,
yes, fights out of Germany, claims Germany.
It's like what Hamzat does.
Yes, but you know, I was thinking on the off chance, do they maybe set up Izzy versus Abus, because Izzy isn't booked, Abus isn't booked.
That's too much of a reach.
It wouldn't sell, and they wouldn't throw Abus up that high.
Right. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like, I don't think Abus deserves that, and I don't think they want Izzy to stoop that low, because Izzy is still a huge star in the UFC, and he can do numbers for them. But yes, I do agree with you wholeheartedly, Srikar. I think Abus would be the best fight, and I think there's a finish in store right there. Someone will get finished. And if I'm going to make an early prediction, I think RoboCop's coming out with the win right there. But no discredit to Abus. He's a good fighter. He had a interesting loss against Sean Strickland, where he kind of just went all out in the first round, and Strickland kind of just played possum, got him out of there. But Abus, nonetheless, would be a great opponent for RoboCop. So now let's go up onto the main card. Excuse me. Another fight that we were sadly
another one that got away.
Yes, another one that got away. Payton Talbott getting a unanimous decision victory over Felipe Jungle Boy Lima. Felipe Lima actually won that first round, I believe, on all the judges' scorecards. Payton Talbott he made so many improvements since his last fight
Yes.
against Barcelos. I was extremely impressed. Kind of upset because I really wanted Lima to win because, you know, we always root for our own predictions, but I cannot knock Payton Talbott for that. He came out, he showed us what he said he did. He said he went back onto the drawing board and made all the improvements that he needed to make. His takedown defense improved drastically. And, you know, Lima at one point, he was winning on the feet in the first round. I think that Payton Talbott's power was getting to him a little bit, which was forcing him into errant shots and, you know, trying to just push the matter to get it on the ground. But even when it got on the ground, Payton Talbott just looked like the bigger, stronger fighter. And I think that might have been because Lima decided to move down to bantamweight. I'm not sure.
Yes. This was bantamweight.
Yes.
I don't know if I could wholeheartedly say that, but I think that did play into it. It was his first fight in bantamweight. He's typically a featherweight fighter, but Payton Talbott really showing that he's the whole package. I think that Barcelos fight, he kind of just went into it. It was almost like we talked about Jacobe Smith. He was a huge favorite. You have all this expectations, and UFC fighters and sports athletes, they definitely look at the betting odds. They know how big of a favorite they are. They know their expectations. And, you know, going into a fight that is in the back of your head, you kind of say to yourself, oh, okay, well, everyone's expecting me to win. I should just starch this guy. And Barcelos showed that, you know, he's not the guy to play around with. And in his last fight against on the Atlanta card that we did our matchmaking for and predictions and everything, he put himself on the map again, and he showed that he was nowhere near a plus 700 dog against Payton Talbott. But I think Payton Talbott really did what he needed to do in this fight. And someone that I could see him fighting next, and I think would be an amazing fight, would be Adrian Yanez.
He called it out. He
called it out.
Yep. I think that that's the fight to make. I think that there's a finish in store there, and I think that Payton Talbott would really make a statement there. I think Yanez, great boxer. He's been on the down and down since he got knocked out by Rob Font. I believe he's 1-3 since, including that fight. He's 1-3 since that fight. So I think it would be a great spot for Yanez to you know, get back in the win column and hopefully stay there and do it against a great rising prospect in Payton Talbott. And you know what? I was kind of hating on Payton Talbott, saying that, you know what, I didn't think he was the whole package, the real deal, but he really shut me up. So, you know what, Payton Talbott, you gained my respect. I'm sorry I doubted you, man. Sam,
I think one thing
what do you think?
I was gonna say, I think the one thing that we talked about in the previews for this fight is, at least I talked about, I was like, okay, Lima's gonna win this fight. I think he's the better fighter. He's faster. But don't discredit Talbot. He's going to learn a lot from that Barcelos fight. That was the quote-unquote fraud check. First loss. That's always a big loss.
It wasn't even a fraud check. Like, see, this is
why I know. Well, that's what people are tossing around that term too much.
Yeah.
That's why I did the quotes, fraud check. Because Payton Talbot is not a fraud. Let's be so real. He's still one of the better prospects in the bantamweight division. And Lima, I just thought he just did not look like the typical Felipe Lima we're seeing. It felt like he wasn't fighting smart. And that's also on Talbot for just having a great fight IQ and just putting up a good effort throughout. And I think the Adrian Yanez fight is perfect. I think that's a fantastic call out. I think it's something that's going to prove if Talbot wins that fight, he can move up maybe after that 1 or 2 away from the top 15.
I think after if he fights Yanez after that, you give him a top 15.
I was going to say another option that could boost him up to the top 15 option on, I believe, the Abu Dhabi card. Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Bryce Mitchell, the loser of that. I think that would be a good person to feed to Payton Talbot. That's another option. I like the Yanez fight a little bit better, but if for some reason that doesn't work out, give him Saeed Nurmagomedov versus the man from Arkansas who I refuse to name because of racism, even though I just named him. But
yeah,
okay.
I mean, hey, you talk about growth, man. Like, Payton Talbot, this is the exact kind of rebound performance you hope to see after a tough loss like the one he had against Barcelos. Against Lima, he just looked sharper. He looked smarter, more composed, just especially in the scrambles and those defensive sequences that just gave him so much trouble last time out. But yeah, Lima started well. He landed solid strikes, but he just became way too reactive. I think that was the problem. And I don't know why he wanted to grapple so
That's what
much.
I know.
Working.
Made no
Like,
sense.
I get it, and I think that was the game plan going in. But if you're having early success on the feet, man, against a striker, just keep it on the feet, bro. Like, don't change it, you know?
Right.
And Payton Talbott capitalized on that. I mean, his defensive wrestling looked night and day better. His balance super clean.
Mhm.
Never let the fight get away from him. And by the third round, I think it was clear that, you know, he had fully taken over. And this was the performance of a young fighter turning the corner. Like, it wasn't really just about getting the win. He evolved. He evolved as a fighter. And if this is the version of Payton Talbott we get going forward, like, every bantamweight's got to take notice. Like, that's how good this guy can be. I love the Yanez fight, obviously. Like, he called his shot, and it's a banger. Striker versus striker. Easy fight of the night. Like, that's an easy fight of the night. Another outside option I was thinking of.
I want to hear this. Anytime you laugh after you say something,
You guys are
always
gonna grill me for this. Like, absolutely grill me.
Let's hear it.
What if they did Payton Talbott versus Patchy Mix?
I actually don't hate that. I was actually thinking the same thing.
It's a good test for both guys. Patchy wins, he's back on the map. If Talbot wins, that's an insane name to have on your resume, and that might just break you into the rankings if you or at least give you a ranked shot right after.
I don't hate that. It's just like the one thing that just did. I think the one thing that made me not like that, and I or go a different direction, I'll say, because I do like that fight, is just how bad Patchy Mix was at UFC 316 against Mario Bautista.
I agree, but it's still Patchy Mix, and his name
exactly though. That's the other thing you have to factor in.
I don't know if you could. I mean, Patchy Mix isn't even ranked, so technically he's an unranked fighter right now.
He is. It's not bad.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, it's another grappler for Talbot, which is kind of my drawback, but like, I don't know, man. Like, it's such an intriguing fight to me for some reason.
Yep.
Like, it's just kind of sitting there.
And the thing is, I see Payton Talbot winning that just because of his size and strength over Patchy Mix.
I wouldn't even mind Felipe Lima versus Patchy Mix. Just put that out there.
One too.
That could be a good fight.
I think that could work. But I mean, either way, Payton Talbot's on the way up. Like, this was a clear bounce back performance. He evolved as a fighter.
A much needed win too.
Yes, much.
He had to win this fight. He had to.
100%.
And he did.
I definitely agree. Very impressive from Payton Talbot, and glad to see that he did what he said he was going to do and showed his improvements that he made. The next fight of the night was the one fight that we had differing opinions on. Srikar and I picked Renato Money Moicano to beat Beneil Dariush, but Sam, on the other hand, picked Dariush, came out with the victory. So, Sam, I'm going to let you take it away. And what did you think of the fight, and what do you have next for Mr. Beneil Dariush?
Well, so I do want to preface. I was right about how it would go. I said Dariush by decision. I thought he was going to win the fight. But I think a lot of this fight was won based on how Moicano performed, and his performance was really, really atrocious in my opinion. And Dariush, credit, he deserved the win. He did what he had to do, but it wasn't much. I wasn't that impressed by this victory by Beneil Dariush, but nonetheless, it's a ranked win. He's still in the top 10. And he's towards the end of his career. It's a much needed win for him, especially after 2 losses to Oliveira and Srikar. He's in a bit of a tough position though. Kind of like I was talking about with Tracy Cortez, where there's not many people to fight if he wants to fight up. And that's the only guy that realistically makes sense for him is Dan Hooker. But Dan Hooker is a guy that was supposed to fight up against Justin Gaethje. So it's just like, it's like, if you're Dan Hooker, do you fight down? Does that broken foot time off force you to fight Beneil Dariush? Or if you're Beneil Dariush, do you have to fight like an up and comer in this division? I still think that Hooker is the best match for him. I thought about Gamrot too, but I don't think there's a better fight for Gamrot than Rafael Fiziev right now. And I would just keep it that way. Fiziev, Gamrot. Let Fiziev go for the revenge. I think that's a perfect storyline to build up for the UFC.
Right.
And we talked about it last week after Baku, or you guys did. Yes, you guys did. I was the one that I missed that podcast, but that was the fight I was gonna say for Fiziev after his win against Bahamondes. But Dan Hooker, I don't hate that fight. And I think it's a good one where, I mean, if Benny wins that, man, could he be one away from a title in the lightweight division? It's so stacked that you never know. But
Yeah,
that's something I did not think. It's kind of like Dom Riss. We never thought we would see it again.
Don't even try to sell me on Dariush versus Ilia Topuria, bro.
Oh, you're not going to sell me on that. He's going to have to fight. He's going to have to. It would have to mean like Ilya's blowing through everyone, and there's no one else for him to fight. But at that point, he would probably move up to welterweight. So you never know.
I mean, this was a must-win moment for Beneil Dariush, and he pulled it off. Like, this was a classic Beneil Dariush fight.
Yeah.
Yes, the chin got tested early, and I still think the chin is a concern coming out of this, but he managed to survive the danger, reset, and just drag Moicano into a type of fight that not many guys want to be in, like just a messy, cardio-heavy, war, like just a scramble.
Where he thrives. He brought him to where he thrives.
Very gritty fight, man. Like, very gritty fight. Moicano looked really sharp early on, but it's just as the fight wore on, Dariush's pace, his awkwardness, it just started to chip away.
Yep.
And once Beneil found his rhythm, it just became a grind that Moicano couldn't keep up with. That's the fight Dariush has made a career out of winning, and still, for as strong as the win was, I don't like what Dariush did in the post-fight interview. And rarely do I critique fighters in that post-fight interview, but just saying anyone, anytime, anywhere as Beneil Dariush is crazy to me. Because at this stage of his career, he'd be better off calling for something that's a little more strategic, because the UFC will not hesitate to give him a killer next. But hey, man, that's who Benny is. He's built for the chaos. And if you're built for the chaos, it's interesting that you mentioned Fiziev versus Gamrot, because I think next up for Dariush should be Rafael Fiziev. Both guys, they're coming off big bounce back wins after, really rough stretches, injuries, losses, all of that. But they're still two of the toughest outs at lightweight. Neither one of them turns down fights. Stylistically, could be fireworks.
Yeah.
I did mention the UFC will not hesitate to give him a killer next. Rafael Fiziev will be the killer. And I think it's just a perfect prove it type of matchup just to see who's still a player at 155. I still think I think just these two are at a crossroads in terms of they're both at like the same juncture in both of their careers. And that's why I just match them up, see who moves on, see who falls down.
I don't hate that. And
yeah.
Oh, sorry, I don't hate the fight in general. I hate that for Dariush because I think Fiziev would absolutely smoke.
That's what happens when you say anyone, anywhere, anytime in your post fight.
I guess. Well, kind of on that note, if they want Beneil Dariush fighting up, if Max Holloway loses to Dustin Poirier, just another option out there for Beneil Dariush, which would be crazy because Holloway would destroy him. I think the only person, I said Dan Hooker because that's the guy out of all three. I think that's the guy that's least likely to destroy him. I don't think Dariush is going to win his next fight, no matter who it is. If it's one of those three guys, I think the other person's going to win. But you're right about that, Srikar. Whoever, you don't say anywhere, anytime, any place. They're just going to feed you to the hyenas, man. That's all it is.
Literally.
Yeah, I think it's funny how, well, you mentioned the post-fight press conferences and everything. That's one of my favorite things to do after a card is just sit down, turn on YouTube, and go to the UFC channel and watch the live stream of all the fighters coming through after their wins. And one thing I want to say is I just commend all the fighters who are actually able to do interviews after such brutal fights of getting hit in the head and actually, form actual sentences and can actually answer questions. It's something that I've always it's been unfathomable to me because after one punch, I would be on the floor crying like a baby. And these guys are doing whole interviews for 20 minutes after that. But yeah, no, I mean, also a lot of some of their answers has to do with adrenaline. They're still kind of on a natural high of the win they just had, or they're still in almost fight mode. And I do agree with you, Srikar, that Dariush is in a position to, not demand anything, but, push the agenda in his favor. And I think he should have done that in the post-fight interview. But hey, if he wants anyone, anytime, anywhere. You were talking about killers. What about a real life killer? What about a ex-French special ops soldier, Benoit Saint Denis, God of War?
I don't hate that either.
Well, I don't know if BSD's in a position where he could fight up.
That was my issue too. Yeah.
I mean, look,
like,
he lost.
Is not like a good enough win where I'm like, okay, he should fight.
I guess, but he's an entertaining fighter. He's a powerful puncher. I think if Dariush can survive that storm that Benoit is going to throw at him, I think that'll put Dariush in a position to really kind of go wherever he wants and tell the UFC who he wants to fight. But it's like Sam said, it's hard to really look at the lightweight division and say he can fight up, because who is he realistically going to fight?
Yeah, that is true. That is true.
So I don't know. And you know what? If he's going to fight down and the UFC is going to make him fight down, what about Joel Alvarez, El Fenomeno?
I don't hate that. I was going to say a young and upcoming.
But it's like we're saying, feeding him to the hyenas. I think he's kind of lending.
Alvarez is moving up to 170 anyway.
Say it again, Srikar?
Alvarez is moving up to 170 after.
Oh, yes, that is true. I did forget about that. But if he ever wanted to fight at 155, that would be a good fight. I think BSD would be a good fight for him. And yes, I agree that the Propolek fight is not, that's not a high caliber win. That's not a notch on your belt.
Not even like a UFC caliber win to me.
Right, exactly. I think that could be an interesting fight given the state of the lightweight division. But let's move on here to another division that is stacking up to be just insane at the top. Flyweight, our man Joshua the Fearless Van and Brandon Royval. I'm saying it right now. I know you guys agree with me. Fight of the year, hands down. You literally cannot tell me anything different. I will die on that hill. Over 400 significant strikes landed between both of them, 200 apiece. That I like from the time
never happened before.
Yes, from the time that I've been watching UFC, Srikar said that that's the best fight he's ever seen. That's the best fight I've ever seen in the past 10 years. That was absolutely unreal. No time to breathe for anyone. And Van, he just put it on him, man. That he is. I'm actually so excited.
His chin was iron. Both of them were. The fact that they were able to stand through all 3 rounds and make it to the end. I know Royval got pretty beat up at the end, but still, that says a lot about both of these guys.
There was not a single second to breathe.
3 weeks notice.
Yep.
3 weeks, bro. Just let it sink in. Joshua Van took on one of the most experienced, dangerous flyweights in the UFC on 3 weeks notice and outperformed him in the fight of the year. Yep. Like, hey man, this was just a high-paced war from the jump.
Oh yeah.
And not only hung in there with Royval, he out-executed him. It wasn't a blowout. Like, Royval showed up, he gave Van everything he could handle, and we give him a lot of credit.
Yes.
But Van just had that perfect mix of just composure, explosiveness, just smart, like being aware, just taking control in the big moments. Like, you watch a fight like that, and I just knew, like, this guy's going to be a champion. No question. He stepped into the fire on short notice and beat a guy with title shot credentials. That is not luck, bro. Like, that is greatness in the making. And look, I'm sorry, I'm going to ramble a little bit. We all know how special Alexandre Pantoja is. The guy is just ridiculous. Easily
most flyweight wins.
Yeah, easily one of the best pound-for-pound fighters in the world right now. Honestly, you could make a case he should be top 3, maybe even pushing past someone like Merab, in my opinion. He is the total package, striking, grappling, pace, durability, you name it. And he's proven it over and over against the best flyweights on the planet. But even with all that in mind, I'm starting to believe Joshua Van might just be that guy. Like, I just want to talk about this because we're all going to go Van Pantoja for our matchmaking pick. Like, this is the next title fight.
Right. And I don't think that's like the most undisputable fight right now. I'm not going to say most undisputable fight in the UFC because I think there are like Kayla Nunes. We know that's happening.
Right.
But like in the men's division.
Dana said that's going to be the fight. And he just knocked off.
And they had the face off too. Like,
yeah.
They both
talk about this, man, because like on the feet, Van is a clear step ahead.
Yep.
He's got slicker hands, tighter boxing. He doesn't panic when the fight gets chaotic, which is
Unreal
bread and butter.
Yeah.
Van is used to high pressure, high paced brawls. That's not new to him. And defensively, we had a conversation about this over text, so you're going to get it live on video. Van's takedown defense and scrambling obviously haven't been tested against Pantoja yet.
Yep.
Sure. But he's already shown he can handle an Olympic wrestler like Ray Saruya.
Yep.
Brute force guys who can grapple like Edgar Shirez. Your classic American chain wrestlers like Cody Durden. Like, those are pretty good names to have on your resume when we talk about takedown defense. And then there's the timing. Pantoja's still looking great, no question. I mean, that fight against Kai Kara-France, we'll get into it in a little bit. It was sharp, but he's past 35 now. That age cliff, especially at flyweight, especially at 125, is real. The reflexes are not going to stay forever. And also, I'm sorry, I keep throwing in stuff, but this will be our
shit,
first,
dude. Let's go.
This will be our first real look at a full camp Joshua Van. Think about that. This guy started training 5 years ago.
He's 23.
He's 20. He's about to have a fight where he's going to be, if he wins, the second youngest champion in UFC history if they schedule it correctly.
And he's already got that reminds people of
I'm not saying it, Chris.
Like, he's already got boxing that reminds me of like Piotr Jan, Max Holloway, Brandon Moreno. Like, and on top of that, again, the takedown defense, the get-ups, like, I think he's like on like Aldo level. Like, and up to this point, he's done all of that on short notice, bouncing from camp to camp. Now imagine what he looks like with a full camp. You have dedicated time to game plan. You have that time to sharpen up, drill against Pantoja's specific style. If Pantoja fights again in December, Van is going to have like 5 or 6 full months to prepare. That's terrifying to me.
That is terrifying.
The rate this guy is improving is unreal. Now, I'm not saying he definitely wins. Like, Pantoja's the champ for a reason. But Van is, without a doubt, the most interesting title challenger Pantoja has had to face yet. And if he pulls it off, he might just become the youngest UFC champion we've seen in a long, long time. Rant over. I feel like everyone thinking Pantoja is just going to walk through him, think again. This guy is for real, and him with a full camp is a very, very scary thought.
So, 2 things to get off my chest. And I'll tie my Pantoja analysis in here a little bit as well, because since we're talking about him. Alex Pantoja, first of all, should be top 5 pound for pound.
Easy.
I think it is blatantly disrespectful.
It's been that way for a long time.
Yep.
And it has been that way for a long time. I'm looking at the UFC pound for pound rankings right now. I think you could put him arguably at 4. I think you could put ahead of Dricus Du Plessis, ahead of Volk, ahead of JDM, ahead of Ankalaev. He's number 10 right now. Are we serious? This guy's, I would say, the best flyweight. Oh, it's close between him and Demetrius Johnson, man.
Easily
I want to say
CJ.
Easily the best in CJ.
He is the best in CJ, and also he has he actually with that fight just secured the most flyweight most wins in flyweight history, and now he has more submissions over Demetrius Johnson as well. So he's knocking things out of the record book.
He is knocking things out of the record book. That leads me to the second thing. I think if he beats Josh Van, and this is going to be previewing the Josh Van and Pantoja fight. If Pantoja wins, hands down the greatest flyweight of all time.
I agree.
Honestly, if you're Pantoja, you beat Josh Van once, you can drop the gloves. I'll put it that way.
I don't know if he'll drop the gloves, but I do.
Yeah, I don't know if he'll do it, but it's justified.
Yep.
It's justified. You're on the wrong side of 30, and you can drop the glove. You beat the best up-and-comer in Josh Van. I'm rambling right now. I have 4 things. I said my second thing. But speaking of the best up-and-comer Josh Van.
Yep.
This fight between Pantoja and Van will be the most hyped up fight in flyweight history. And I think it is the best flyweight fight we have ever seen.
Maybe. I think back to a fight like DJ and Cejudo, will it be as hyped up?
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. You have a guy who could be the flyweight GOAT versus, and this leads to number 4, if Josh Van wins this fight, we have another superstar in the UFC. Not just a star, a superstar. Yeah. Josh Van could be, when it's all said and done, the greatest flyweight of all time.
Is it crazy?
I don't know.
Is it crazy for me to think that Josh Van is already a superstar?
I'm not gonna
I don't
lie.
think it's
If
crazy.
Van goes out there and beats Pantoja, he's one of the flyweight goats.
Yes, I
Already.
completely agree with that. That was another thing I was going to say.
Yeah.
I don't see, and you know what the beauty of this is. If Josh Van wins against Pantoja, we're getting a rematch, guys. We're going to get two of these if Van
100%.
wins.
Pantoja
And
is so undeniably like
that's the
deserving
thing.
of a rematch.
Pantoja's got at least 2 more championship belts to fight for, because if he loses, he's getting another one. And the UFC needs that. They need Josh Van to keep winning. It's kind of crazy how this is the division that Dana White has talked about cutting in previous years. And now you have a guy like Josh Van who, I mean, realistically could just steamroll through everyone.
That's what I'm saying. As a superstar, I mean, who else in the division is gonna really
there's nobody, man. It's like you look at these rankings in the flyweight division. I mean, I guess Albazi and Tyra have the best shot, which is not saying much.
Brandon Moreno.
Yeah,
Moreno could too. Moreno could too. I'm just talking about guys who are up and coming. What you don't want necessarily for the UFC is just like a cycle of, and that was the thing with Royval. If he wins, you were going to get Pantoja Royval again, and I don't think people would have loved to see that. But now you get Van and Pantoja. Oh man, and we're finally going to see. This is also good for Pantoja because people are finally going to see, win or lose to Josh Van. I think people are finally going to see that Pantoja deserves the respect he needs.
Yeah, I was going to say, I hope
this is a fight where I would be really disappointed if this doesn't headline a pay-per-view.
Oh, 1,000.
I think this
I actually think it could headline a pay-per-view.
I think it should. I think this should absolutely be a headliner.
Like,
the one thing I've been hearing is maybe a co-main behind Kayla Nunes in Brazil.
No.
I mean,
if it's Brazil and it's Pantoja, I feel like, oh well, Nunes.
I was gonna say
that's what I was gonna say. Nunes there. That's you got it. The only way would be a co-main. I feel like is if it's Nunes or if it's like a big fight. Kind of like this was with International Fight Week.
I would try everything in my power to make sure that Pantoja and Van would headline. But on that note, Nunes is the GOAT, so she's the queen of women's MMA. But that would be interesting. I do think Pantoja can headline. Pantoja Van can headline. Like, look, if Pantoja Asakura headlined a pay-per-view, there's no doubt in my mind that
Pantoja's headlined 2 pay-per-views. It's just like. His title fights. That was his 4th title fights. I believe only one was scheduled to be the headliner, and that was the Brazil one.
Yes,
301 against a guy who did not deserve the title shot in Steve Ursay. Performed well, but undeserving.
Yes, definitely. I agree. I mean, it's so tough, but for Josh Van, just so beyond impressive. And you know what? From Royval too, we're talking a lot about Josh Van. Royval took a fight that he did not need to take, man. Kopp drops out with an injury, and Royval could have said, hey, I don't want to fight down. That's not in my best interest, and it really was not in his best interest. And he did it anyway, put on an absolute banger, and he posted on Instagram. I saw him on Instagram. He was saying like, hey, you know what? Sometimes that's how the cards are dealt. And he played the hand he was given, and it doesn't work out all the time. So he's going to go back to the drawing board, and I have no doubt in my mind that he's still going to be a warrior in the top 3. But Pantoja, man, I've been seeing so many things on UFC Twitter about this, and I would love to hear your guys' opinion on this. What do you guys think about? All right, this would be after the Josh Van fight, but let's say Josh Van loses. Let's say Pantoja wins. What do you guys think about a Pantoja Merab super fight? Because honestly, I don't like that.
Merab would absolutely smoke Pantoja.
That's there's a reason. When I said Pantoja needs to be higher in pound for pound, there's a reason I didn't put him ahead of Merab.
Yep. I don't think a lot of traction about that.
But I will also I want to make 2 more points about this flyweight division. First of all, we're talking a big talk this year with the UFC has been the superstars. There's just not many, and I couldn't disagree more. I think you have the guy we're going to talk about next, Ilia Topuria, superstar. Islam Makhachev, superstar. Merab Dvalishvili, superstar. Alex Volkanovski, superstar. Joshua Van, soon to be a superstar if he wins.
Yeah.
Pantoja, I mean, not the flashiest guy, but a superstar.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Miss
depends.
me with
It depends
me with
how
all the superstar debate.
Like, is Merab really on the same level of star that Ilia is at? I don't think so.
They have the same amount of title defenses, and they've dominated in every fight.
But title defenses don't count towards star power. You know what I mean? Like, Conor McGregor had no title defenses.
I
That's
think
valid.
what Merab has going for him is he's just a huge fan favorite. Everyone loves Merabi. He's a great great person to hear in interviews and just follow him throughout his daily life. And I think that that is very marketable for the UFC, and they've been capitalizing on that a lot. Like I think the O'Malley Merab fight, like if you told me that fight a few years ago and how big it was or how much traction it gained, that would even be headlining the Sphere. The first fight, it headlined the Sphere, the biggest gate in UFC history. I would have said you were crazy. But yes, Sam, I so agree with you. I think that there are so many stars, superstars in the UFC right now. And if you can't see it, excuse me, if you can't see it, then you're just living under a rock.
Real quick though, because we forgot in the middle of this whole flyweight discussion, we forgot to break down the actual title fight between Pantoja and KKF. So let's do that real quick.
Yes, let's jump into that. Good call.
Again, if there was any lingering doubt about who the best flyweight in the world is right now, I mean,
it's Pantoja.
Pantoja wiped it away in the first round itself. Yep. I mean, he melted KKF almost instantly. Just pressure, pace, the grappling. He looked like a man on a mission from the opening bell. And KKF, I mean, he came in with the strong resume, obviously, just solid skill set. We said all this in our predictions, especially on the feet, but like Pantoja just didn't care. Like he took over right away. He asserted himself in the grappling exchanges. He even got the better of a lot of stand-up exchanges. Pantoja made it clear that when everything is clicking, like he is a nightmare to deal with. That being said, obviously we have that Van fight, and that's the fight we'll make for him. But for Kai Kara-France, he's back in that contender mix now. And I think whoever comes out of that fight between Tatsuro Taira and Amir Albazi, I think they'll have earned a shot at a top contender. And I think it makes all the sense in the world to match them up with Kai Kara-France next.
Yes.
Because if Albazi wins, KKF has a shot at redemption. Obviously, you may have thought that was a robbery between
that was so
fight. You get a chance to redo those wrongs. And Tatsuro Taira and KKF would just be an absolute banger. That is a ridiculous stylistic matchup. So I want to see the winner of that fight get KKF next.
Yeah, KKF will still be in this title picture. I think the top of flyweights actually looking pretty good right now. I think what I would do for KKF personally, I think with Brandon Moreno unbooked right now, although he could fight at Noche against someone a little lower, Manel Kopp maybe, but I was going to suggest Manel Kopp for KKF. I know
there's a rivalry there too.
There's a rivalry there too, exactly.
Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
words were said that we can't say on.
I think the biggest loser of this whole flyweight fiasco with these two fights is Manel Kopp, who just missed out on his shot at a title fight, and now is really set back with Josh Van's win, who just leapfrogged the entire division.
Yep. It literally reminds me of when O'Malley beat Jan, and obviously that win and Josh Van's win are in two different universes right now. But yeah, it's literally what O'Malley did. He leapfrogged the entire division. You beat the number one, you should be the number one. And Josh Van has made himself undeniable for a shot at championship gold. And just a quick little update. I was doing a little bit of research. Pantoja has actually opened up as a -210 favorite against Josh Van. Josh Van is +180.
I'll tell you right now, I'm hammering Van money. You give me Van at plus money, I'll hammer it.
Yeah,
it's gonna. That is such a hard fight to predict. That's a coin. I mean, -220 is pretty high odds, which would make me lean if I'm putting money on.
That's what Pantoja just was against KKF. I will say that was not a -235 favorite.
Yeah, that was not. I was gonna say
by the time fight night comes, I think it's gonna be dead even odds.
Yes, definitely.
I agree. It's gonna be dead. This is his toughest test against Josh Van, and I'll make one more point about Josh Van. UFC 318 coming up. We have Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway for the BMF belt. Nope. That's invalid because the BMF is Joshua the Fearless Van. I mean, come on now. Just give him the BMF belt, man. If
Dude,
Poirier wins, goes out on top.
You know what I thought you were gonna say, Sam? I thought you were gonna say that they should put Van Pantoja on 3.
I know. I was trying to set you up for that.
The thing is, Josh Van is such a dog that he would do it.
He'd do it.
He would do it, dude. If Poirier wins that belt, move it down and just give it to Josh Van. He doesn't need to fight anyone. Maybe you can have 2 belts in the line between Pantoja and Van, the flyweight championship and BMF. The winner wins both of them. A double champ right there. Do it.
The BMF belt is so interesting. Just a little side note, because like, how do you like, what am I trying to say? How do you quantify, or how do you put the BMF title just on one division?
It'll move around. That's the thing. It'll move. Like,
but
the thing is, if Poirier wins,
if Poirier wins, it should go down. I agree with you, Sam. It should go to
and Holloway. I mean, we'll talk about this more for 318, but I'll make this quick. Looking at the rest of the lightweight division, there's not many guys I would want the label of BMF that Holloway should fight.
Right.
Maybe Oliveira, but Oliveira just got smoked.
Just one more quick point, because I do want to get to Ilia versus Charles, because that was, oh my gosh. But Kai said that Pantoja, Kai's path to victory, or what he thought his path to victory was against Pantoja, was that Pantoja does get sloppy. And I wouldn't necessarily say he gets sloppy. I would say his technique is somewhat lazy. Like, when he's striking, don't get me wrong, he's a good striker and he can put together great combos and really put you on the back foot. But I feel like sometimes when he throws his body kicks, it's not a kick that adheres to classical technique. He kind of just like flings his leg up at you. And I think someone who has a little bit more attention to detail, like Josh Van, who is such a technically sound fighter, can really capitalize on that. But it's going to be so interesting, especially given Van's takedown defense. And, Pantoja, he's just such a high-paced fighter, just like Van. It's the makings to be one of, if not the best fight in flyweight history. And I'm really excited for that. But something else I was really excited to see, somewhat, I know a lot of people weren't excited to see it.
Oh, I was so excited.
I was excited for it.
I was so excited.
Just to preface everything, Charles, you're the man. We absolutely love you. I think you're such an amazing fighter. You're an even better person. And what Ilia said before the fight, he didn't want it to be you. You're such a good guy, and I'm sorry that's how it had to happen. But dude, Ilia El Matador Topuria, I tweeted it out. We're watching a GOAT in the making. I think he's going to be the GOAT when it's all said and done. You heard it here first on the War Room. He has actually, Srikar, you tell everyone, because you sent that to me, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Would you say that this might be the best 3-fight win streak in UFC history?
Dude, what more can you even say at this point? Like,
nothing.
Ilia Topuria, like, he's not even just living up to the hype, man. I think he's literally just rewriting the blueprint, bro. Like, in the last year, he's knocked out the featherweight GOAT, the runner-up featherweight GOAT, and just ran through one of the most dangerous lightweights of the decade, probably a top 3 lightweight ever, in under 3 minutes. That is not normal.
It's not normal.
But I'll say this. Charles Oliveira, he came out looking sharp. I think getting into the clinch right from the get-go was a good move.
Yes.
But as soon as I saw Ilia passing guard, he went into a crucifix. I'm like, oh my God, it's over. Like,
and he cut Charles instantly.
Like, Topuria looked like a man possessed. He walked through the danger. He stayed calm in the grappling. The fact that he nearly hit a crucifix on one of the best submission artists the UFC has ever seen, and then on the feet, just makes it look easy, levels above. And he knew it. At this point, it's not about whether Ilia can beat the top guys. It's about who's even willing to try and do it. Like,
it was funny. Well, I mean, you look at the camera cut to, there was a video of Paddy Pimblett reacting to the knockout, and he's like, oh, wow, he looked like a deer in headlights. And then he realizes the camera's on. He's like, oh, I have to smile to make sure that I'm actually not scared of Ilia Topuria.
It was almost the opposite of when Max knocked out Gaethje and then called out Topuria, and Topuria was like,
yeah, exactly.
Gaethje, Armin, Islam, Patty, you name it. He might not win them all, but there is no actual reason for you to count him out. He's not just a future star anymore, man. Like he is here. He is running the show.
He is not just a future star. He is the #1 pound for pound fighter in the UFC.
And he is the biggest star in the UFC right now, even over Alex Pereira, in my opinion.
I think he is the biggest star. He is the biggest star in the UFC. Guys, I was actually thinking of this today. The next fight he has, will Bruce Buffer give him the one, the only? I think it could be time.
Not yet. Soon, though.
Not yet.
I'll be the first to critique Bruce. He jumped the gun so hard on Alex Pereira.
Oh, he did. He did.
Nowhere close to that yet. And honestly, maybe it jinxed him. But
it might have.
The funny thing about Ilia Topuria, man, like when you win the belt, usually you're in the Shark Tank. You know, everyone you become the hunted. But in this case, I feel like he's still the hunter. Like the sharks are in the tank with him. Like, what are ranked lightweights supposed to do about this guy? He ran through Volk, then Holloway, then Oliveira, all knockouts, all brutal. Somehow each one was scarier than the last.
Yep.
And that's not just a great run. That is the best 3-fight stretch in MMA history.
Yes.
No exaggeration, no hyperbole. If you are one of the legends that's still out there, I'm looking at obviously Dustin Poirier if he wins, Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker. Like, what do you do? Do you just like hope he forgets you exist? Because I mean, at this point, like the only thing waiting for you is a highlight reel finish. If you're a contender,
I mean, Poirier's done after this, luckily, so he's getting out at the right time.
Good. I don't want to see Poirier in Ilia.
I don't think anyone does. Ilia's blown through all the fan favorites, and everyone just hates Ilia.
I don't know if you guys saw Sean O'Malley's live reaction, but he was shocked.
Oh, that was hilarious.
And then he goes, "Oh my gosh, thank God he didn't accept my offer." And you know what? That's the smartest thing Sean O'Malley has ever said on the mic.
Even if you're a contender, like an Arman Sarukian, a Fiziev, a Gamrot, even someone like Patty, you better be looking at Topuria like he's the final boss. Like he is the final boss. He is the problem everyone else has to solve. And if you're one of the guys that he's already slept, like Max Holloway said, if he wins, I want to fight Ilia. Maybe if Charles works his way back, like what are we even talking about? Like,
I know
you have to have a really good game plan, or he's just going to do you worse the second time. And the only real conversation left is what happens if Islam Makhachev comes back down. That's a real fight.
Have to set that up.
That is a real fight. Or if Topuria just skips the line and just moves up to 170 to chase bigger game, that's compelling too. You know what? If Khabib in his absolute prime decided to come out of retirement, that would be a conversation. Otherwise, you just get used to this, man. You get used to this. You either hop on the Ilia train now, or you're just going to keep watching your favorite fighter get folded. Like that's how it's going to be.
I saw a meme before this of Islam Makhachev when he hears Ilia wants to move up to 170, and it's Islam matching up with DDP moving up to middleweight and fighting DDP there. I think that's a super fight to happen. I would love to see that happen. And I mean, personally, I think that's the best fight to make easily. It sounded earlier like Islam hinted at that he wants to win at 170 and then again at 155.
Yes, that's his plan. Well, I don't know if you guys saw that the UFC actually requested to Ilia or told him to not ask to move up because they don't want him fighting at 170.
Yeah, and I think staying at lightweight's the best option. I think 170 is going to be a little rough for him.
Personally, though, I would love to see him be the first 3-division champ in the UFC.
Triple champ.
Me too.
I just think it'll hold up the lightweight division too much, and I agree with the UFC and kind of saying let's hold off on that for right now, because that's what happens with all the super fights. One division gets held up. Actually, I mean both divisions kind of get held up if you really think about it. And Srikar, you talked about the champs. It's almost like the champ's supposed to be in the Shark Tank. Ilia Topuria is the Shark Tank.
He is the yes.
He is the Shark Tank. You feed them to him. He is unreal.
And they brought Paddy Pimblett into the cage.
Yes. So let's matchmake now.
Yeah.
Where do you guys see the future going?
It's going to be Paddy. Like, you bring him into the cage. It's not going to be Arman next. Like, and let's be honest. If you had told MMA fans, like, a few years ago that we'd be talking about this matchup seriously, like, for a title, like, which people would have laughed at you, man.
Yeah.
And here we are. Topuria is the undisputed lightweight champ. Patty's quietly stacking wins. The UFC loves a good storyline, and you have that Spain versus UK angle on it, plus the star power from both guys.
And they
are going to push for this fight to happen.
Yep.
I really hope it happens in Madrid. I don't know if that's going to be the case, but Ilia Patty, if there's ever a stadium show and you want to do a stadium show in Europe,
I was just going to say that.
this is what you do.
Do it. You do it. And this is going to be, dare I say, the most hyped up lightweight fight since Conor Khabib. You have the talent.
I think it could be.
You have the talent. You have the heads talking. They do not like each other. And I'm gonna be completely honest. Ilia would smoke him straight up. I don't think
Patty opened as a minus 600 favorite for what it's worth.
Yeah.
Who? Against Patty?
Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, let me just clarify real quick, and then I'll let you go, Chris.
No, you got it.
It should be Arman. I understand the UFC is upset with him, and it seems like, from what it sounds like, it seems like this whole back issue at 311 was just smoke. He was just way too overweight.
Yep.
And called the UFC on time to make sure.
Which makes me look like an idiot now, because I kind of said, "Hey, he was hurt. It was a back issue."
No, it does. It seemed like he just was not even close to making weight.
Yeah.
But apparently made weight this time as the backup. He proved them wrong. Mm-hmm. He served his punishment, and it's going to have to continue with another fight, unfortunately for him. And he will be back up there one day. So it should be Arman, but it's going to be Patty because the UFC loves money and the fans just want it, man. It's the fight everyone wants. Make it happen. Make it happen while it can. This could be Patty's only shot to fight Ilia. If these two guys hate each other, you make that happen now. Capitalize on that.
I'm not going to lie. Like, I would really like to see that fight because I love storylines. I love beef, especially in MMA, because they actually get to settle beef with their hands like real men.
Yes.
But I don't know. I mean, that post-fight presser, Dana seemed pretty upset that they let Patty into the ring to face off. And, look at Josh Van Pantoja. Josh Van gets in the ring. Obviously, he is the bona fide number one contender, and that is a fight that is undeniably being set up as we speak right now. It sounded like Dana really didn't want the Patty Ilia fight. And personally, in my opinion, I think Patty needs one more. I don't think he should be.
I completely agree with that.
I would honestly even I know there's a bunch of, news and everything swirling about Justin Gaethje saying I'm going to retire if you don't give me this title shot. And then Dana saying, if you want to retire, then just retire.
Literally, this was always what he was going to like.
Yes.
Why would you?
In my opinion, I think Gaethje's more entitled to a title shot than Paddy Pimblett is. When you look at who Paddy Pimblett's fought, and granted his win over Chandler was spectacular, but his most notable wins in his past three fights, an aging Tony Ferguson who's not in the UFC anymore. You have excuse me, sorry, I'm
King
blanking.
Green.
It's late here. Yeah, King Green, who, that was domination.
Washed.
But it's King Green, and he wasn't sniffing a title shot. And he did beat the hell out of Michael Chandler, which, is very impressive because he finished him in a very spectacular and bloody fashion. So I will give that to Patty, but I think Gaethje's fights stack up a little better. His 2 wins against Fiziev, and then he has the loss to Gamrot. Not Gamrot. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. He has the loss to Holloway, but I just don't think Patty and Ilia is what the UFC should be doing. But it's like you guys said, there's a lot there that they can really capitalize off of, and it's a money game. It's not like a boxing game though, which I'm so thankful that the UFC doesn't treat promotions and making fights like boxing, because I think that's one of my biggest pet peeves about boxing is how they go about, matchmaking and everything like that. But I really hope it's Arman, because I think that would be such a good fight between him and Ilia. And I think that he would put up a better fight than Patty would. But, hey, it's going to be really interesting what the UFC does. Yeah. I think that wherever they go, it'll be a good spot for them in both divisions. Flyweight, obviously it's Pantoja Van, but what they do with Royval and KKF, I think it'll be spectacular. And we're in a really good spot in the UFC. Yeah, Srikar, what are you going to say?
And I was just wrapping up with Ilia, Patty, and Arman. it's just like if the UFC had the chance to set up this fight, they're not going to risk putting Paddy in a title eliminator where he could potentially lose.
Right.
Like they're going to set it up now.
Yeah.
Also, second thing, I feel like we should matchmake for Charles Oliveira too.
Yes.
And I think it's pretty obvious what's going to happen here. If Max beats Dustin, we're going to see Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway.
Yes. Yeah. 100%.
Once again, and it's going to be for the BMF belt. This one depends, but man, Oliveira versus Holloway, it'd just be chaos, absolute chaos.
God,
just two legends, endless cardio, nonstop pressure. Like, sign me up, man. I think that could headline a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah,
I think that's what we make next, assuming Max beats Dustin.
Ooh, wait. Okay.
Oh, you got something, Chris.
Quick little thought. Well, okay, Max beats Dustin. That means he's the BMF champion. Charles versus Max for the BMF title.
I don't hate that, but I feel like if you're Charles,
Oh,
you need
Charles versus Max for BMF. Wait, I said that, right?
Yeah, you said Charles versus Max, but yeah, actually, well, yeah, that makes sense. Sorry.
So you're saying if Dustin wins? You're saying
no, if Max wins, he'll still have the
BMF
title. So it's like, yeah, that could headline a
yeah, that's what I was saying. Like that will headline a pay-per-view.
Yeah, and it'll be good because I mean we've seen the UFC fall into spots where champions can't, like the championship timelines just don't match up, and they kind of just have to wing a pay-per-view out, just kind of like they're doing for 318. But still, regardless, 318 is looking like a solid card. Not the best, but hey, I mean we can't have amazing cards every pay-per-view. I think we're being very spoiled by the UFC.
Yeah, but it's like if Dan Ige and Patricio Pitbull is our co-main event.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing: they're selling tickets off that, and they're selling. And this is the one I'm upset about 318. I'll bring it up again when we do the 318 preview.
Mm-hmm.
And it sucks for like the hardcore MMA fans like us that we get a card like this. There's only really one great fight. But if you're the UFC,
we just got the card of the year. Like,
well, there's that one, and two. Think about it this way. If you want to think of a positive outlook, the UFC knows they're going to sell out Smoothie King Center, and they're going to sell this card just off of one fight, which means some of the cards in the future, I don't know, maybe that Abu Dhabi card, UFC 320, MSG, those are the other ones coming up, that the UFC is going to have more stacked cards altogether as a whole, and it's going to be more fun to watch. They're saving some up for later, and I like it. I'll take it.
Definitely. I definitely agree. Well, guys, that was fun. That was fun to talk about. That was fun, even more fun to watch, honestly. And Srikar, I'm so happy that was your first UFC event that you got to experience. I don't think there was nearly any other event that could have topped that. But
it was amazing, man. I'm so grateful.
100%. And it's amazing to see how the UFC is going to shape up with a bunch of young stars. Ilia is so young. Josh Van is so young. As well as Patty and everyone else. But that'll do it from the MMA War Room. There will be a 2-week intermission in fight nights and pay-per-views, because of July 4th and everything. I believe the next UFC event is July 12th. That is a fight night. Yep, that is UFC Nashville, headlined by Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, and Taliesin Teixeira. That should be an interesting one. But we're not going to stop with the flow of content. You guys should be tuned into social medias. Our socials are in the bottom right corner. So we will be firing off tweets and posting all up-to-date news and content. Stay tuned for, a midweek episode, end of week episode. We'll definitely be working on some things, and as well as potential fighter interviews coming up in the future. We're really working on trying to expand this podcast and give you guys the best content possible. I think we've been growing a lot. So thank you guys for all of the support. Like this video, comment if you guys agree or disagree with us. We love to hear everything. So thank you guys from the War Room, and have a good one.